Hello, I wanted to take a look at patch 077, which is coming up very shortly. It's currently in public test, which includes an event called Go Navy. It includes a relaunch of 2 operations, an aim marker added to the minimap, and also a new type of container. Before I get into that though, I just want to talk very quickly about what is PTS, what is the public test server. If you know what PTS is and you've tried it or you know all about it, then I'll put a time code down in the description, so just go down there and you can skip ahead to the content that's in 077. The public test server is the last stage in a series of development from back-end private coding within Wargaming. They then may be released to the super testers, and the last stage is public test server, where normal players of World of Warships can log in to this separate server with a separate account, and they can try out the patches which are coming up and try it out and maybe provide some feedback to Wargaming. And Wargaming collect metrics on what's going on just to check everything's working okay, and then they might tweak things based on the public test server results. Wargaming's patch cycle for World of Warships is generally 3 weeks, so a new patch comes out every 3 weeks. Sometimes it's a bit longer than that if it's a big patch, but you can expect there to be a public test period once every 3 weeks or so. If you're interested in taking part, keep an eye on the World of Warships news feed for your region, because they announce all the PTS sessions in there. In those news articles, you'll also find details of how to actually participate. You create a separate account from your main live account, because this is not although it's a live server and you can log into it, it's not your region's live server. It's a separate server, it's global, so everyone can log into it. And you create a separate account which has the same email address as your live normal account, and that allows rewards to be transferred between the two. Rewards? Yes, you can actually get things in your live main account by playing on the public test server. So, for example, this time you can play a battle and you can get some signals. And if you play 3 battles, you can get 10 of these Type 6 cameras, which give you plus 100 XP. Now, if you play 3 battles, win 3 battles in tier 10 ships, you can get 24 hours premium. Now, you start off on this particular PTS instance with tier 6 ships, so you would have to grind your way up to tier 10. But that's not as bad as it sounds, because on the PTS you actually have quite a lot of resources, and also they tend to make it so that it's pretty easy for you to do the thing that they want to test. So, for example, to get to Cleveland, it's only 2,000 XP there. And we've got loads of credits, so the credit isn't a problem. So you can get up to Worcester fairly easily, although you notice that it's 500,000 XP for Worcester, which suggests that they don't want you to grind XP all the way to Worcester. So how do they want you to do that? Well, they want you to go to the arsenal, where you can buy ships, and in this instance of the PTS, because of the event that's going on that I'll talk about later, you're going to be able to spend the points that you earn during that event on the ships. Normally you'd be spending the resources that I'm indicating there with my mouse, but this time you're going to be spending the points from the Sharks and Eagles, but I'll come back to that a little bit later. So that's the public test server. If that interests you and you want to see what's coming up a little bit before the main player base, and reading the news articles isn't quite enough for you, or you'd like to try it out and provide some feedback, I really encourage you to download the PTS client, create an account with the same email address as your main account, and try it out. So what's in this one then, 077? Well, the main event is an event called Go Navy. If you cast your mind back to last year, if you were playing, you might remember a fire and water team event. This is going to be very similar to that, except this time it's called Go Navy, and there will be Sharks and Eagles as the 2 teams. When you log in, a screen comes up which gives you a choice between the 2 teams. You can choose freely between the 2. There's really no difference between the 2. One's blue, one's red. I'm going to go with Eagles. So you can see here I've actually chosen the losing team, but this is the PTS, so who cares? And then you can see this lovely, beautiful graphic with the progress of the 2 teams. Now, if it's anything like Fire and Water, the membership of the 2 teams will be limited. So if you try to join the team that has the most players in it, at a certain point it'll cut you off and only allow you to join the one with less. So make sure that the balance between the 2 teams is maintained. To earn the points, you can use tier 5 or higher ships. You can do it in co-op, random scenarios, or clan battles. You can also do these things called special combat missions. And these are quite interesting. They pop up during a single battle. So you start a battle, you get a special mission, you complete whatever it is the mission is asking you to do, presumably get a certain number of damage or caps or something. If you complete it, you'll get extra rewards. But the mission does not carry on beyond that battle. It's only for that single battle. That's the first tab of this new interface, which shows you the relative points between the two teams in this daily competition. So this is a daily thing. At the end of every day, one of the teams wins, and the winner gets some booty. You also get personal rewards for contributing points, a bit like your daily crates. You build up a certain number of tokens, and then that gives you some rewards. And also there's a leaderboard. I'll show you that in just a second. There's also some rules. I won't go through those. If you want to read them, then pause this video and have a read. But that just shows you how the competition works on a daily basis and overall. But there is a rating which shows you the leaderboard of individual players in the two teams. There are special rewards if you come in the top 1,000, the top 100, and the top 10. Ignore the Russian there; it's just because it's the PTS and some things are in Russian language. So try and contribute as much as you can and see if you can get into one of the top listings. Another thing this event gives you is a customized New York port. I forgot to record it, so here's just the preview from the website. There's a red themed one and a blue themed one. They're quite pretty, depending on which team you choose. Aside from Go Navy, also there's been a relaunch of 2 of the operations. So if you go into Operation of the Week, you will see that Narai has been relaunched. This includes improvements to the eastern side of the map and includes the enemy CV called King being able to escape through that eastern route. I had wondered whether this was actually going to be the hard version, but actually it's not. It's just a relaunch of the normal difficulty version of Narai. Also being relaunched is Raptor Rescue, which sees a more diverse enemy population of ships and also more routes for the enemy CV to escape. It's been increased to 4 routes. Now on to something maybe slightly controversial. You may have heard of a mod that's been called X marks the spot. The reason it's called X marks the spot is because you get a little X on the minimap which tells you where your guns are aiming. Well, that's actually quite a popular mod, and so Wargaming have actually introduced it into the main game. Although they've not used an X, they've actually used a circle. If you look at the minimap there as I aim around, you can see a little circle that's indicating where I'm aiming. And you can see it's pretty accurate. So if I'm aiming at those rocks, the circle is dead on the rocks. If I aim at this Fushun, the circle is dead on the Fushun. So you can see how this could be interesting if you're aiming at maybe a last known position indicator for something that's in smoke. Now, something that's quite interesting is that the aiming appears to be sticky, but that's a bit of an illusion. What's actually happening there as I aimed at the Helena is that my guns would be hitting the superstructure of the Helena, and so it appears that the aim is sticking, but actually what's happening is as I go up above the funnels and the superstructure on the Helena, the shots would then land way past the Helena, and so it appears to stick, but actually it's just an illusion. But it does show me that my shells would hit the ship. Now, a little bit later in this battle, on the PTS, so it's only 3v3, but there's a New Orleans that was last seen over there, and I can see the caps being capped. So I'm just using that that circle to try and aim at him. And actually, he's not there. It turns out he's over there. But you can see how that could be useful to try and hone in shots on a particular area of the map if you're trying to shoot something you can't see. So that's a new minimap aiming feature. Yeah, it's slightly controversial, but at least now the entire population will get it. It's on by default, so hopefully that levels the playing field and stops some people who've installed the mod from having an advantage. Now that I've played a match and I've accumulated some XP, I can actually show you one of the other new features, which is the new type of container. There's going to be an extra one to choose from, and it's called the More Resources container. And here it is. So the idea is that this one gives you coal for the new Arsenal feature introduced in the previous patch 0.7.6. So there you can see I've got 2 lots of 400 coal, and I've also got some free XP. You could also get signals as one of the other items. The other type of new container just for this event is the Go Navy container, which gives you tokens for the 2 teams, which you can then spend in the arsenal, which I'll show you shortly. Here's the selection UI, the new UI. So you can see there that you get a more resources option in addition to the other ones you normally get. So you can choose that just like you would do with a normal container. I assume there's also a chance to get a super container based off that as well, like normal. And once again, you'll see here that I get some coal and then either some free XP or some signals, which goes into my arsenal total. Now if we go over to the arsenal, you can see that there's a temporary tokens balance there. And what's really interesting is that I can buy ships with those tokens. So you remember earlier I was talking about tier 10 and it being hard to get there on the PTS. Well, that's because they want you to do this. They want you to get some tokens. They want you to get 50 tokens and they want you to buy a tier 10 using the arsenal feature for this event, which I assume will also be in the live server. What I don't know is how much the ships will be. They may not be 50, they may be a lot more than 50. The values on the PTS tend to be a lot lower than the live server will be, just so that it makes the testing quick and easy. Another feature that's got me quite excited is this. If you go down to this new Go Navy section, you can see that there are some permanent camos that you can buy. Now again, the 125 figure is probably way lower than it's going to be on the live server, but nevertheless there's going to be permanent camos for Worcester and permanent camos for Des Moines for you to buy, because of course this is an American event. Now the camo for Worcester it's very similar to that one for is it the Cleveland with the eagle design. There's a shark design which is quite cool. I quite like that bow there, it looks quite nice. And then same for Des Moines. This is not sharks and eagles, this is more of the standard American camo that was introduced for the Cleveland, I think it was, or the Baltimore recently, with the eagle up there on the superstructure and the American flag. These permanent camos are pretty good benefits, as well as the normal -3 and +4. You get -50 to the cost of post-battle service, plus 20% credits, and plus 100 to XP. So these are going to make these ships pretty good earners. And that's without having to spend the doubloons that you would normally need to spend to get the permanent camo for these ships. So that's the public test server and a quick run through of 077. I'll put some links down in the description if you want to go and check out the PTS and find out how to join. If you want to get updates on upcoming patches, please do subscribe, because I will be trying to cover all the upcoming patches and showing you what they look like in PTS. Thanks for watching, Captains. I'll catch you next time.